Yo, yo. All right. I'm still getting over the sickness. I kind of slept through all of New York session, but I did have some good trades. Well, I had one trade that really worked out during London session. I took like one loss, one break even, then finally got along and held it. It was just a brutal kind of Asia to London session, even though I knew what was going to happen. It was just, you had to deal with this like amorphous chop until it finally started to play out. So, some things that I regretted for sure was just there was no reason really to take a trade right away. I just had an idea on what I imagined happening, and I kind of listened to myself. I was like, oh, okay, it's not going to play out that way. Let's be a little bit more patient. Eventually, it worked out. But yeah, unnecessary initial couple trades. I was just a little trigger happy. But yeah, anyways, finally took one long. It was after all this chop, and I saw just the CVD building continuously. So CVD really bottomed during Asia. It was like 5 minutes during into Asia Open, and then just was climbing the whole way through. So it's climbing on ES, it's coming down on NQ. So there's a start of your kind of bifurcation. It's like they're not in sync. So that was a little weird. But as soon as CVD kind of bottomed on NQ, price just responded very positively. So as soon as there was a little change in direction of buying, we started to see the squeeze happen. Then it was all over from there. I caught, it was like my average was 816 initially, then it was 820-ish. Took it all the way up into near those highs, and then I left one runner, and wow, I got so blessed because I just wanted to sleep all New York session. So I left one runner. I set this is why midnight open is so important. After this, it was really late at night for me, and I was like, I just need to sleep all day. I can't do like 3 hours of sleep or something into New York. So after all this, we see this retest of I guess what if you're ICT, this would be like kind of your breaker block on the 50 minutes. That was a good look. Retest there. Basically, to me, it just retested that buyer at 820s. It holds, and then after that, I'm like, I don't want to see it below there. I was like, I think my average was 820. I set it for literally just to tick above break even, because I liked that I was below midnight, and I was like, after this, I don't even really want to test midnight again. Midnight has already been kind of heavily attacked ever since it started, ever since midnight open started. So I was like, if we're going to attack it again, this market might just chop. So at least thankfully it came very close, but I wasn't targeting way up here. I could have even just targeted these highs, but I just had 940 as an extension. So I was fine with that. And that actually turned out to be where there was an initiative buyer into New York Open. We saw 940 just really take off after that. So anyways, a little bit of luck on that last runner, but whatever. It was literally just one micro. Let's look a little bit more in depth on the tape. So we are out of sync right now. These indexes are doing different things and they're acting differently, and there's a lot of nuance to this. And we essentially, if you want to play this correctly, you need to give it a chance to show you what it's going to do, because it's at a point where I could see it doing two things. I'm not going to be like up or down, but kind of. Basically, what we could see here. So what I was looking for to happen was actually for that 75.50 buyer to hold. Once it didn't hold and it flipped, I was like, okay, so we're just going to chop lower. We're going to find the bottom somewhere down here. I even said in the chat, previous week high might be a good area to bottom on the NQ, even though I was looking mainly at ES. And if you want to see something, this is why I love the TR pocket. So previous week high, after all this chop, end of Asia into London. So take this low here from, I believe that was Asia, because then we're into London over there. So then we just get right before London Open, but just like this last swing high to swing low. If you've seen previous videos, you know what I'm going to do. Look, TR pocket right down there. Previous week high lined up. That was a good long. Initially, I took it and I wimped out. I took that entry and I was very happy, and I was like, oh, nice. But all this chop, I just want to secure profit at that point, and I had to make back part of a loss earlier from here. So I was like, you know what? It's better to get back to even and then to formulate a game plan than to be still. I've noticed when you're still carrying a red P&L, it's I don't know. It's almost like bad juju in the air or something. Like it's just it wants to punish you for being greedy essentially. So I like to just get back to break even and then formulate a game plan from there. So I just got back to break even at that point on my accounts, and then from there I just watched this chop up, and then I saw CBD rising, and I entered way higher here as we really started to break out. As I saw a buyer really take control. Because there's multiple chances for this to reject back down and maybe even test lower into the gap, but instead it didn't. Buyer held, and we just went higher and higher. And of course, in those situations, it's always seems to be me taking profit early or for whatever reason, and then that turns out to be the low. The low day you could have held, and that would have been one hell of a screenshot. But at the end of the day, we are here to make money, not to LARP screenshots all the time. So, yeah. This projected, so yeah, you heard me talk about my entry and all that later in today. So yeah, could have held for more, but whatever, I was sleeping. I'm still a little sick. I'm trying to get better. There's going to be lots more money to be made, I think, coming up. So it's very interesting. So yeah, what I was looking for, I keep on divesting or whatever it's called. So yeah, I was looking for that to hold and then move higher into this TR pocket and actually reject. Instead, interesting, that fails, 75.50 flips. Into a point of resistance, but we're not, we're seeing attacks by sellers, but no follow through. They can't even get into the gap here. Can't even get into this value area where I'd like to see some, levels hold or see what's going on there. So we can't even get into there. So I am having my doubts on if there's even going to be a seller that's going to take control up there. That's initially what I was saying I was looking for is, like swing, essentially like chop and then reject. But no, instead it looks like we're building almost. It looks like the position's being built. So when you see CBD rising like this as price is just rejecting, there's some nuance that plays into this. And again, I'm focused on, so tech is booming. Tech is pumping. CBD is still looking at that in the negative and price is going up. So essentially just squeezing out sellers. I don't know. Like we'll see what happens with that. But I'm more interested in ES. There's way more volume on ES, even though it's been like a lot more muted. More big boys involved here. So when ES really starts to move, that will, NQ will also take off as well. There might be a little bit more rotation tech into other large caps that are non-tech, and then you'd see more rotation into YM small caps. We'll see if that still happens. That's still a theory in play. But anyways, so tech's going up, whatever. Yeah, that's good. It makes sense. ES though, I'm trying to make sense of this price action, trying to make sense of why we're chopping, prices essentially kind of angling lower, but look at this, we're delta plus 20K. So that's a lot of buying. So it really makes you wonder. One thing that would be different is if we were chopping up here, all-time highs, and you saw CBD on a slight incline, but you see on an incline, but you see nothing, price not making any discovery higher. That to me would be significant absorption. So yeah, if we're chopping up here, whatever, and you see this CBD curve just still the same thing, just going like this, then that is absorption, and we can look for a rejection and initially lower. But what are we doing instead? We are chopping lower down here in this range. We're filling out this volume imbalance really in between here. So when you look at it, like lots of volume there. So even though this is a gap, tons of volume there. Don't worry about that price range kind of thing. So I would just look for a bounce out of there. But we're filling out this imbalance right here because we gapped up and moved quickly Sunday overnight. So this makes sense that we're filling out here. That makes a lot of sense that we're filling out slowly as we're angling down. We're not making any aggressive downward movements with these sells. So yeah, and CBD is rising. So what does this look like to me? It looks like price is loading to actually make quite a move up. So what we might see here, so we saw 75, 50, 70, what I think 75, 60 is really the hump. 75, 50, I would love to see like a break above and then, confirm that we're flipping into support and then move higher. So for me, that would be, and that's all this value area low right there. Of like the start of the week essentially. So if we flip that, then we're good to move higher. So I would almost chase longs up there, see what else it does down here. It might come down and actually test lower and then go up. Don't know if that'll happen, or we might actually see this area hold and we might see a little chop up and then higher like that. So that's kind of what I'm picturing for these two scenarios, because of just watching all the buying that's happening. So you could just see one more really breakdown and then up, or we might see kind of that area level hold. So if we see 75.30s hold, because if we look at the tape here, all right, so we see stacked imbalances right here, right? So stacked imbalances from this initiation right here. So if we see this area hold right here, let me just make it simple so you guys can see. If we see that area hold, then we're good for higher. 75.30, good for 75.50, good for 75.90. Oh, I hate that I can't just delete it like that. That's so annoying. Yeah, so if we see that area hold, 75.30, that'll be very critical. Then we can just take 75.50 flip, and then we can target at minimum 75.90. Or if you want to swing this, look for it to just consolidate up here and move higher. I don't know. That's the way I'm playing it, because I'm not going to ignore that sellers have no control right now, especially looking at tech and NQ. All signs are still pointing higher. You're not really seeing any significant absorption. This is nothing burger because bank holiday, no one cares. It's really about when we get to these highs, what does New York do? So if we get to these highs on ES and you see consolidation, and like failure to initiate lower, then then we're going higher. Then we can target above, and we can figure out some new projections to target above. So we will see. But yeah, huge SMTs going on right here between NQ and ES. There's a lot of speculation that this will trap more people. This will say, oh look, we've hit 30K. ES can't even make new highs. We're just going to reject. I think it's doubtful. I think we're actually going to see. I'm torn between either of these. I'd be fine with this actually just coming down here, testing this POC kind of 75.05 area, and then moving higher. I would also be okay with us just holding 75.30 and then flipping 75.50 and then targeting 75.90. Those are two very valid plays. Hats off to you if you want to try, based on that, doing whatever you want with NQ, you can. I'm very particular on when I'm playing NQ just because of how volatile it is. So I'm just really working consciously with risk management. SpaceX IPO. Wow, I suck at spelling with this. IPO. Anyways, you're seeing a lot of people talk about it possibly being a rug pull, and I'm seeing the same thing talked about. Oh, they lost $5 billion last year or whatever. Okay, there's a lot of nuance to that, yes, but they're not just IPOing at like $1 trillion valuation for no reason. So what have they done? So SpaceX already government contracts at the wazoo. They have a lot of really impressive and I don't know, just like amazing goals when it comes to space travel, Mars exploration and pedestrian travel across Earth. And, obviously a lot of it will be for, elite people that make a lot of money and stuff, just for the kinds of things that they're talking about. But still, overall great company, and they're backed up by the US government. So can't be really bearish on them without any really solid proof yet. Starlink is the golden child. Starlink cranks in money at like a 40-50% margin just for their services. It's a high profit, high margin business. So really, really smart. They just got adopted by, I think, American Airlines. But yeah, you're going to start to see a lot of airline companies look to Starlink for Wi-Fi. So very impressive with that. And then XAI, that is kind of like the quote unquote loser of the trio. But it's, again, lots of nuance to it. So yeah, it's running negative cash flow right now. Why? Data center build out. Data centers are very, very expensive. They've been doing it over, I don't even know how long. And they've been spending billions doing it. A lot of money to build data centers. They're extremely expensive, but they're seeing the long-term vision with this, and it's already paying off. They just signed, $1.3 billion a month contract, essentially an energy lease contract to lease out their data centers. to use out that server space, power, whatever you want to call it, by Anthropic going into 2029. So XAI has already, confronted and kind of thwarted that excuse of like, oh, they're, running negative cash flow. They're like, if as soon as you do any research, you're just like, oh, that's just a talking point, and it is essentially like muted at this point. So until you really see, like, you can't really be bearish on this IPO. Like, yeah, it's a very pricey IPO, but it's pretty legit when it comes, you're getting 3 companies. They're all just insane companies from the looks of it so far. And yeah, XAI, they've just been doing huge investment to data centers, which is like what we know right now, just like the, shovels in the gold rush, basically. So yeah, you can't really be bearish on them until you see really a failure of AI in some way, or a failure for it to turn into real revenue. So that is still what we're waiting to really see a lot of proof of. Yeah, there's so many things on that front, but basically, if you hear people saying like SpaceX IPO is going to be a rug pull, no, it's not going to happen. What might happen is you might actually see initial pump, and then you'll see a sharp drop, and then you'll see it bottom somewhere, and then you'll just see it start to climb like very intensely. It'll just be initial pump, like panic sell initially, like, oh my God, and then everyone's going to freak out, sell, and then you'd see essentially institutions just buying more, and then buying it up further and further. So that is a possible look on how that might go at the start. We'll see if that's actually correct. I have no idea. It's a total guess. But just from what I've seen previous IPOs of this mega size before. So still looking at Iran, the deal still up in there. We will see. Just doesn't feel legit. I don't know. Who knows how long they can edge this out for? It's seeming to take forever. So very interested. Still not sold on this being, the start of a new bull run. I'd have to see a lot of definitive proof on that. Having said that, I'm fine long in the market as long as it wants to stay long. As long as I see buyers in control and I see all that buying and I see it translating to higher prices, I will be long with it. When I see a seller take over and then really just buyer exhaustion and that all flips, I'll go with the seller. Very simple. Anyways, I think that's all for today. Nothing really else to talk about. So that's the lookout for this week, or the immediate future is I'm looking for 75.30 to possibly hold, and then we can move into 75.60, flip that, and then target 75.90 minimum. I'll see if there's any projections higher based on what all that buying that was going on. Or, in the very possible scenario, we hit here, consolidate, manipulate a little bit higher, and then fail below. We'll see. That's also a possibility. And then, the version 2 of this long idea would be one last breakdown below here. Would make sense with it being Wednesday. Tomorrow, the Wednesday is a common kind of high of week, low of week point. So that would also be possible as we actually see a breakdown down to here, and then that would be the final move up, or final move down before we move higher. If we break down all the way down here, I still see CVD rising as well. That'll just be a massive divergence all the way down. So that would be like, oh my God, might even buy some, like, this sounds crazy, might even buy some like monthly calls or something, just because that would be huge. That would just be like, essentially tell me that a buyer has been loading their bags. Because again, CVD rising as we're moving all the way down through this region. If it was CVD rising as we're consolidating above, that would look like absorption. But there's no really reason for sellers to be absorbing here when they could easily just be absorbing above this price. That was like kind of a nothing burger. So the fact that they're essentially, this looks like buyer absorption, but like passively, very passively, just like almost continuously manipulating sellers into thinking that we're going to move down, and then we make one final move, either direction initially, and then move higher. So to me this just looks like passive buyers just like loading their bags, and it's likely institutions so they can afford to consistently load a little bit lower. This is not really much of a change price wise, and then move up. So we will see. Should be very interesting. I don't know. I'm very excited to see what happens this week. Anyways, we're almost at 20 minutes, so I'm going to cut it. Have a good week. Good luck. Bye.